Emily, and I'm a makeup amateur and a YouTube amateur. Welcome to my channel. Today I'm here again to talk about this case full of makeup and what products I've been using for the month of February. So if you missed my January videos, what I've been trying to do this year is to dedicate an entire month to just the products that I can fit in this case. I picked a couple from each category, and it's my way of trying to be more thoughtful and less wasteful, but the products that I'm using, I kind of really take into consideration whether or not I'm using products enough that justifies keeping them, whether I really like having them around, or maybe falling back in love with some old favorites. So last time I did one of these videos, it turned into 3 videos. I don't know what this one's going to be yet, if it's just going to be one long guy or like 3 medium length ones. I kept referring to this makeup case as like a kit or like a box or whatever. I have since realized that this is actually a name brand Caboodle. So from now on, this is called my monthly makeup Caboodle, or as Captain Raymond Holt of the 99 would say, my makeup Caboodle. So without further ado, let's jump on in here. For this month, I do have a couple main brands that I kind of centered everything around. So I packed up basically everything I own from Tarte, Huda Beauty, Trestique, and Violet Voss, and then there's a couple other just sort of random items thrown in here. Let's begin with complexion products. So it just so happens that from Tarte I already own 2 foundations and 2 primers. So I came into both of these foundations at the same time. This is the Face Tape foundation in the shade 20B Light Beige. This is their Foundcealer Multitasking Foundation in the shade 16N Fair Light Neutral. About twice a year, Tarte does something that they call their custom kit promo. So you basically pick a makeup bag and you get to pick one item out of a bunch of different categories to go in the bag for like a seriously reduced price. And this year I purchased a kit, and I bought this foundation, and a friend of mine who was also going to be purchasing a kit but doesn't wear foundation asked for my shade, and she picked up this one and then gave it to me, which was very sweet of her. Thank you. So I started trying both of these around the same time, and unfortunately that was last summer, and I picked a shade that matches like the foundation that I wear in the winter. And so I didn't really get a chance to try either of them because they were far too light for me at the time because I was a little more tanned. First of all, the Foundcealer has this really neat bottle where you twist the top part and the pump pops up. However, I have to be like really careful about cleaning this off every single time, otherwise you're going to get foundation all over the outside of your bottle when you're twisting it back down. I also like that the way they're set up, you can kind of see where the pump is at in the bottle, and so as it's going up you can tell how much foundation you have left, because you can't always tell even if the bottle itself is clear. This foundation is, I think, more of like an oil-based foundation, so initially when I first started trying it, I noticed that it was breaking apart on me a lot. It was starting to look very greasy pretty early in the day. That was kind of frustrating. This is the exact opposite problem. When I'm putting this on, it feels like I am literally smearing like spackle onto my face. And actually, the Foundcealer has a brush that is recommended to use with it, which I also picked up in the custom kit. I wasn't going to buy a brush on its own, but I figured I might as well get them at the same time. You can tell that the handle kind of matches the packaging here, and it's really nice. It's very dense, very short bristles. This works really well for this because if you're going to use a makeup sponge, it tends to shear out a little too quickly, or the sponge just sort of absorbs it, whereas this is better for actually like making it stay on your face and for blending. However, I did try using it with this stuff, and it was like the most awkward, god-awful mess. The Face Tape foundation is kind of, I think it's the newest foundation that they've released. They tried to make a foundation that matched their concealer, which is the well-known Shape Tape line, and it bombed badly. And then they came out with this, and then I think they came out with this shortly afterwards. I just don't like the texture of this one. I'm actually wearing this today, and it looks okay right now, but it will cling to any imperfections. If you have any like dry skin sort of patches on your face, it wants to make those known. It is better applied with a sponge, but it still seems very dry. It still kind of enhances your pores. Whereas this one, I kind of fiddled around with it and I've managed to find a way to make it work for me. This one I have been struggling with, and I don't want to throw it out quite yet because it's basically a full bottle, and that seems very wasteful because foundation is so expensive. I'm still not really sure how I can make this work. I'm also not really sure if light beige is really like the best shade for me. Because I have noticed it looks like a little too cool toned on my skin, like it almost comes across gray sometimes. Like I did try to warm it up a fair amount with some blush, and I don't know if I was all that successful. This one I think is a lot closer of a match. As for primers, so I did mention I had 2 primers. This one is the Base Tape Hydrating Primer, and you'll notice like the bottles are very similar. I got this one in a BoxyCharm a while ago. It's a relatively thin kind of creamy formula. It's completely white. When I first got it and the first time I went to use it, it came out like very liquidy. And I was like, is this milk? Like, what am I using here? It turns out it just needed to be shaken, but it is still a very runny type of primer. I like this. If you hate the smell of coconut, I would stay far, far away because it's a pretty strong smelling coconut type of thing. Luckily, I like that smell. This works with the Foundcealer. There's something about the combination of these two plus the powder that I've been using and the setting spray that I'll get to later that just worked a miracle. I don't know if it's because it like kind of mops up the excess oil or if it's just like a thinner type of primer that it's sitting on top of rather than the more hydrating primer, which is over here. This is the Tarte Quench hydrating primer. Now this is a mini. I got this in an M.A.C, and this is like the first thing that I ever got in an M.A.C and immediately used, loved, and went out to buy more. So I have a backup to this because it's almost empty. This is like a thicker, kind of more traditional silicone feeling primer. Not quite silicone-y, but it has more of that slip to it. It's obviously it's supposed to be a hydrating primer. This one says it is too, but this one is definitely like further hydrating. It's kind of got like a more jelly type of texture to it, which is where my preferences in primers tend to lie because I have relatively dry skin and I feel like I need that kind of barrier between my skin and my foundation. However, even using it with this one, it still isn't quite hydrating enough. So I'm going to have to try experimenting with this with other primers, but this is good for, I think, most things. Now, I did try using it with this one and it was an absolute mess. I got really oily really fast. So clearly we've learned to keep these two apart from one another, but this one also doesn't have really much of a discernible smell. I threw a couple other primers in the Caboodle this month because I wasn't sure how much I was going to end up using these two, and the others have been kind of neglected because I was, doing so much experimentation. So I think I might give these another try another month. But just really quickly, this is the Farsali Liquid Glass Serum, which I got in a BoxyCharm a while ago. I have a love-hate relationship with this. Like, it's very fancy, it's very luxurious, it's supposed to be worth a lot of money, but I don't even feel that it does anything for me because I will put it on like the cleanest skin and it doesn't really accomplish anything. This one is one I was really excited to try. It's their liquid powder and it's supposed to go on and kind of mattify your oily skin. And I've only used this one once so far, so I'm not really sure how well it's gonna accomplish that for me, but I'd heard really good things about it. And then these other two were kind of just like bonus items. I got these 3 in a set together at Sephora over the holidays. The green one is the Skintune Blur and the purple is their Unicorn Essence. These are basically just throwaways. Like, they're so tiny. I don't really know how much you're gonna get a use out of them. So the setting spray I've been using this month is the M.A.C Fix Plus Compassion spray. So it's got this little pink bottle. I think this is part of like a limited edition line. I got it in a Boxy pop-up store or something, so I don't even know if M.A.C is still currently carrying these. But I think they all had kind of a different scent and they were all labeled with some sort of virtue or something. I have never tried the original M.A.C Fix Plus formula, so I can't speak to whether or not this is different from that. But I have found it pretty pleasant to use. Like, it has a really nice spritzer to get like a fine mist. A little bit floral scented. I found it pretty effective. I don't have anything bad to say about it, but I am not really doing anything overly strenuous at the moment, so I don't know if that's helping my makeup longevity or just kind of not ruining my makeup really. This is obviously a mini, but I like that the bottle is nice and compact because it obviously made it a lot easier to fit in here. Moving into like the cheek products, I have a bunch of Tarte blushes, which is I think like hands down one of their best products and one of my favorite blush formulas. They're called the Amazonian Clay 12-Hour Blush, and they are really expensive. So that's why I have 3 that could probably be considered minis and only 1 full size. So this one is called Thrilled. 2 of the ones that I have are kind of in the nude family. This one in particular, like, it's kind of peachy, but it's like a cool peach. And you can probably tell how often I've used this based on the fact that like the pattern in the top of it has really been like worn out. I got this in a set, which was one of the first things I ever bought from Sephora. It was a set of like Tarte favorite products, all minis, most of which were just like skincare. And had so little in them that you could maybe use them twice. And there might have been like a mini mascara or something, but this has been still going strong all these years later. This one I got fairly recently. It was like a birthday gift. They send out like a coupon on your birthday and you can also get like a free bonus gift with it. So it was this blush, which is called Quirky. It's a deeper kind of corally type shade. This is really nice and bright on the cheeks. This little bitty one, which honestly I was like, oh, they can get even smaller because this is so tiny. I thought that one was already mini, but This one is called Shimma and Shake, and I got this in an Ipsy. It is deeper than the first one I showed you. The pan size actually looks very similar, even though the packaging is smaller, but I think this has less in it. If you actually check the amount, this is 1 gram. The other one's 1.5. So I like this one. It's also like a very neutral, cool shade. This will go with basically anything. It's a little bit on the brown side of peach. And despite its name, there really isn't much of a shimmer in there. Lastly, this one I got in that Tarte custom kit. I had a heck of a time picking which shade I wanted because I could only get one. And it is Party with 3 A's. I picked a shade that was kind of unlike anything else I already owned in my blush, which was difficult because I own a lot of blush. It looks very light in the pan. I want to promise it does actually show up when I put it on my cheek. It's a very, very light, cool-toned, rosy mauve type pink. And it's really nice. Just like all the Tarte blushes, they're pretty pigmented. They go on smoothly. They have good durability in terms of wear time. I also have the Tarte Cheek Holiday Kit that they put out last year. They did one the year before as well, but I have the more recent version. It's a set of like 3 little stacks of 3 products each. So I think between the whole thing, there's like 1 bronzer, 2 or 3 highlighters, and then the rest are blush. I don't know if they're supposed to be the same formula as the 12-hour Amazonian clay ones, but they're all really nice, really pigmented. I didn't put them in the Caboodle this month because, first of all, that's a lot of cheek products to have in 1 month. And second of all, because I bought them so close to the end of last year, I'd been using them a fair amount pretty recently, so I didn't think I really needed to reacquaint myself with them. One more blush in here. This is from Shaina B, Miami. I got this in an Ipsy as well. It's the blush in the shade Bellini. I really like this shade. This is the one I'm wearing today. It's a peachy shade, but it's got a little bit of pink to it. It's very nicely pigmented. It's really just a lovely formula and a really nice color. The last blush, and this will transition us into the highlight section of the program, is this duo from Kosas. Kosas is like a clean makeup brand. This is the first product I've tried from them, actually. I got this in a BoxyCharm, and I chose this. You could have gotten a powder or a cream duo, and I got the powder one. The shade is Longitude 0, and so it's got this really rich pink on the one side and then this highlight on the other. Both of these are like crazy pigmented to the point where I'll apply the blush and then I'll kind of have to blend half of it away because otherwise I'll be walking around looking like I have clown cheeks. And then the highlight is it's very pretty. Like you can probably see both of those on camera, even though I barely pressed into the pan to swatch either of those. It's really nice. It's got a nice big mirror in the compact here. So like that's the first thing I've ever tried from the brand. I'm very impressed with it and I would love to try more. I have another product from Shaina B, Miami. Funny enough, I also got this as an Ipsy. I can't remember which one I got first, but I got like one month and the other one the following month. And when I first pulled it out, I was like, did they send me the same thing twice? No, this one's a highlighter, obviously. It is a really pretty kind of like rose gold shimmery highlighter. It's the shade Guava Glow. I'm a big fan of this one. They both have like these little flamingos pressed into the top there, which I find adorable. It's got like sort of a golden sheen to it, although the powder comes across very pink in the pan. It's very nice, very warm in the summer in particular. I like wearing this one. This one you would have seen if you watched my January video about my Ipsy bag because I got this in that bag. This is the Catrice Cosmetics LumiNice highlighter in the shade Lumi. And I haven't been wearing it very often, but I'm wearing it today and I think it has a nice subtle sheen to it. The last highlighter I have in here is the iconic London Illuminator Glow Drops. This is just the shade Original, so it's kind of like a golden champagne-y shade. I really like wearing this mixed with a foundation. I just started doing that fairly recently and it gives off like a really beautiful effect. It's also one of the nicer liquid highlighters that I've tried in that it is not like a chunky sort of glitter sparkle. It's very like liquid. You blend it out and it just looks very soft and very metallic and beaming on your skin.